Welcome! Today, we're cracking open one of history's most fascinating mysteries, a story that's been hiding in plain sight every single spring. We're going to dive deep into the complex and surprising history behind Easter.
So let's just jump right in. It's a question we all know, but almost nobody can actually answer. A bunny that brings eggs? I mean, it's a bizarre tradition that we just kind of accept without a second thought. But the why behind it? Well, that reveals a fascinating clash and eventually a fusion of cultures. And to find that answer, we really have to travel back in time. See, this isn't just one story. It's a whole bunch of them, all woven together over thousands of years. It's a tale of goddesses, emperors, monks, and missionaries who all had a hand in shaping the holiday we celebrate today.
All right, so our first stop is the pre-Christian world. One of the biggest theories out there argues that the traditions we know today didn't start with Christianity at all. Nope. They began with ancient pagan festivals celebrating the arrival of spring.
The central figure in this theory is a goddess named Eostre. Now, according to an 8th century monk named Bede, the Anglo-Saxons held feasts in her honor during a month they called Eostre. And get this, many scholars believe the English word Easter and the German Ostern are direct descendants of her name. She was, quite literally, the embodiment of renewal and new beginnings. Celebrating spring is definitely not a new idea. For thousands of years, cultures have marked the spring equinox. You know, that moment when day and night are in perfect balance, signaling winter's end. From the Sumerians honoring Inanna to the Germanic tribes celebrating Ostara, this was a sacred time of renewal long before its modern associations.
And the main characters of modern Easter, the egg and the bunny, they were already major symbols in these ancient festivals. The egg was such a clear emblem of new life, and the hare, famous for its incredible fertility, was the sacred animal of the goddess Eostre. These weren't random choices, you know? They were powerful symbols of nature's rebirth.
Now, this quote from the historian Terence Scully seems to back this all up, but it also creates this really fascinating bridge. He mentions that eggs were forbidden during the Christian period of Lent, so on Easter Sunday they became a celebratory food. But did Christians just adopt a pagan symbol, or did they give it a whole new meaning?
And that brings us to a completely different narrative. The second theory argues that while, eggs in springtime were celebrated by pagans, the specific traditions of Easter have distinctly Christian origins. They weren't borrowed, they were reinterpreted with powerful new meaning.
See, for early Christians, the egg wasn't about fertility at all. It was a perfect metaphor for the resurrection. The hard shell represented the sealed tomb of Christ, and cracking it open symbolized his release from death. It was this really tangible way to represent the very core of their faith.
And there are some powerful stories that back this up. In Orthodox tradition, the legend of Mary Magdalene gives a direct Christian origin for the red Easter egg. The color wasn't just decorative, it symbolized the blood of Christ and the miraculous proof of his resurrection. And that's exactly why red eggs are still so important in Orthodox Christianity today.
Okay, so you've probably seen memes online linking Easter to another goddess, the Babylonian deity Ishtar. It sounds plausible, right? Especially phonetically? But the historical and linguistic evidence shows us this is actually a modern misconception.
Historian Tim O'Neill puts it really plainly. The original Akkadian pronunciation was likely Ishtar, not Easter. What's more, Ishtar's symbols were the lion and the 8-pointed star, not eggs or rabbits. That popular Ishtar-Easter connection is basically an internet myth that just doesn't hold up to academic scrutiny.
So we have two compelling but contradictory origin stories. So which is it, pagan or Christian? Well, the truth, as it so often does, lies somewhere in the middle. The history of Easter is really a story of syncretism, a gradual blending of beliefs and traditions over centuries.
This timeline really highlights the turning points. After Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity, the path was cleared for it to become the dominant religion. Then, the Council of Nicaea made a crucial decision. By tying Easter to the lunar cycle and the equinox, they placed the most important Christian holiday right on top of the old pagan spring festivals. And that was no accident.
And this was often a deliberate strategy. To make the transition easier for new converts, missionaries didn't erase old customs. They absorbed and rebranded them. I mean, why force people to give up a beloved spring festival when you can just change its meaning? The fertility egg became the resurrection egg. The hair of the goddess Eostre became the Easter bunny.
Professor Cusack's quote here sums it up perfectly. It was a pragmatic and frankly very effective way to spread the new faith.
By layering Christian narratives over existing cultural frameworks, the Church ensured its holidays would take root and endure.
So what does all this tangled history mean for us now? Let's take a look at how these blended traditions have evolved into the diverse celebrations we see across the globe today.
Just take the Ukrainian tradition of pisanki eggs, for example. It's a perfect living example of this historical fusion. The art is deeply tied to the Christian Easter story, but many of the symbols used, like the endless line, are thousands of years old, rooted in pre-Christian Slavic cultures. It's an ancient prayer and a modern faith on a single egg shell.
And you can see this creativity in so many different cultures. From competitive egg-tapping games in Eastern Europe to the symbolic rolling of eggs on the White House lawn in the West, each tradition reinterprets the core symbols in its own unique way, blending religious meaning with local folklore and just plain festive fun.
So it turns out the Easter Bunny and its eggs aren't just a simple holiday treat. They are, as one source puts it, a spiritual connection to our ancient ancestors, the product of centuries of cultural negotiation. So whether you see them as symbols of fertility, of faith, or simply of the arrival of spring, their history is this powerful reminder that traditions aren't static. They are constantly being rewritten by the people who celebrate them. The only question left is, what do they mean to you?